Hey traders, really busy weekend. We finally got the leaves falling here. This is one of the latest seasons I can remember. This was the week that the leaves started falling, and whole yard was covered. So I've been mulching leaves. We have a no burn order. We haven't had a drop of rain for October and hardly anything for September as well. So it's really dry here in Indiana. So it's pretty bad. Please like this video if you get a chance. Retweet me on Twitter at Gumby9662C. If you can get a chance, you can be sure and follow me on Twitter too. I post over there as well. And leave some comments below. If you're seeing stuff that I'm not seeing, if I've got core names which I follow, but if you've got something offside the core, leave a comment below on the YouTube channel, and maybe I can look at it for you and help you out, and we'll go from there. Okay. So what we going on here? It looked pretty bad there Friday. So what I'm really watching now is see that white line right here. Uh, that white line right there. Okay, off this prior high right there. Okay, we go down into a 1 hour. Okay, Friday we came through here, we overshot it, and they defended it. That's that right there. That second defend right there. That was telling us that buyers were interested at this price point. Okay. So and we're getting a gap up. See, we're getting a gap up here in the ES futures early on Sunday night here. That being said, go down to 30-minute here. Okay. Uh, it has to be after 10 p.m. for me to get an anchored VWAP using the anchored VWAP from based off of Friday's date uh, on the intraday time frames. Okay, and see it's 7:42 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here, right now. So I can't really update where the actual today's anchored VWAP is going to start printing. So what I do typically, wherever the start point is, I draw a line on my charts where the start point is for the week, and because that is a very important, bull bear cross area for the week. Basically where the anchored VWAP lot falls, and it'll happen around 10 o'clock tonight when I'll finally get that print where I can add a line to my chart. Okay, so what I did, I went back to Thursday and I had it draw an anchored VWAP from Thursday. And what we see this morning or this evening is the opening print was immediately above that anchored VWAP, and uh, so what did they do? They came in and drove it up because you're on the bullish side of trend from Thursday. So I think it had a lot to do with this little drive up here. Now, that being said, let me show you something real quick here. So some quick takeaways that I got on my charts here. So basically, we came up last week uh, on Tuesday morning, and we tested this anchored VWAP from August trend high. We tested this right here. It rejected. We came up and we back tested it on last Thursday. Okay, back tested it, immediately rejected. Since then, we've been migrating lower. This is the September's anchored VWAP trend high. Okay, so from September, this is our trend high from September. What do? We came in Monday. Okay, we rejected. Okay, Tuesday, you know, uh, uh, Tuesday evening, we came up, did a back test of the September trend, and we just completely fell out of bed the rest of the week, and we still have not back tested that trend yet again. So we were getting a double tag of these trends. Okay, so be very mindful of that scenario. It looks like we're stair stepping down on the ESs. Now that being said, now if you delve into the volume profile of what's happening in the overnight here. Now, shoot, give me a second here. Let me zoom in here right here. We had a liquidity break. Yeah, Friday afternoon. We just it was horrible, a horrible liquidity break in the markets. Okay, so basically this volume right here, or this area up right here, higher distribution broke down. Okay, so this move we've had in the overnight here at 6 a.m. we should not go any higher. If we start going higher in the overnight, then the bearish thesis that we had going into the close, you're really going to have to put that to the sidelines for a little bit. But we should not go any higher. Actually, this should be a short for the rest of the evening. We shouldn't actually go any higher based off this liquidity break, assuming the bearish thesis is valid, because we're walking down here on ESs. So be very mindful of that. That liquidity break, that's very important, knowing that breakdown right there. So what we're looking for now is to come into tomorrow's session back down into this area down here. Okay, that's ideally what we're looking for, is a move back down into this lower part of the distribution. And this right here is where the most volume hit Friday. Okay, and so we're going to be actually, since we are on a bearish side thesis, with the stopping down, or we want to be opening down in this area down here. So be very mindful of that in your trading. So a critical theme that I'm looking at here, we broke down right here, broke this trend, okay, and we have back tested the all-time highs, okay, and we've back tested the October anchored VWAP, okay. So these should act as support, in my opinion, on ESs. What we haven't done is back test the breakdown yet. Ah, damn it. Sorry. We have not, see this trend line right here? We have not back tested the August anchored VWAP trend line. So, my theory is that we're probably going to come back up to these highs, basically giving us a double top scenario to back test this trend line, and then it might lead into a much greater breakdown in the markets. And know for sure, this is a major week in the markets for earnings. Major. And so definitely keep this and watch some theories that I got going on here. But basically, we're getting this gap up this morning because as far as anybody who's using Anchor VWAP, we're initially starting above resistance this morning. So let's definitely keep this one on watch. Okay, quick rundown I got here. Got this trend line. Boom, boom, comes across. We've back tested the trend line, and we've back tested the October anchored VWAP. Very similar to the ESs. But this one's acting just a little bit weaker than the ESs. So now let's zoom in here. Okay. Yeah, that's not going to do it. Let's go down to smaller time frames. 30 minutes. NQs. Okay, cool. Anchor VWAP. There we go. So our anchor VWAP was way down here Thursday. Okay. Our anchor VWAP is way down here. So we're gapping up this morning. Positive side of trend going on here. This is the August trend high, and we have a fair value gap on here. This is looking bullish. This is looking like we're looking for price discovery beyond resistance. So be mindful of that. We know what's going on this week. They may want to fill these fair value gaps before the numbers hit. So that's what I'm seeing here in this, what we're doing early on this morning. Okay. And like I said, these VWAP levels, I have to update those after 10 p.m. Or yeah, so it's still too early for me to do that. Okay. Russell's completely neutral to Thursday. So basically, we have no, bullish or bearish bias with the Russell versus Thursday. I do want to point out also on the ZNs, we have filled the fair value gap this morning. We came down, opened up, came down hard, broke below the fair value gap, but currently we are trying to defend our fair value gap. If you go here on the daily, you see what I'm talking about. We came down into this fair value gap. I need a little bigger time frame. Sorry. 4 year. Let's go with that. So there is a fair value gap right here at these highs, potential right here. At these highs, we are trying to defend it early on this morning. Okay, so basically, if we go any lower now, it starts getting really ugly in the market. The markets are probably in for a big correction if we go any lower on the ZNs from here. So they have to support, in my opinion, ZNs here to support the markets. So just be very mindful of that. Okay. Uh, very, very critical support area for the ZNs to kick off the new week. Just be very mindful. We're only on a 6 count. Typically, you're looking for a 9 count. So that's another thing to be worried about. Now that we can get the count, you know, but see how we look below there? If we were actually going to get a 9 count here, that would suggest we're probably going down to the next level. So that even gets me more worried that we're not done to the downside on the ZNs. So, uh, that adds more fuel to my bearish bias that the ZNs may not be complete here on the daily time frame. Bearish bias in the markets. Really on the VIX, the really most important indicator you got to look at, that's your VIVIX. And we did clear the 110 Friday. So, you start getting above 110, things are not going very well in the markets. Uh, you know, uh, uh, you know, so just be very mindful of that. We saw the skew come down the past few days. I bet they jacked it up again Friday. Not too much. Skew's pretty much neutral. Okay, so round 140 is about the neutral area. So the skew isn't really getting out of control here, but the VIVIX is worried that there's going to be a big move in the markets. It could be big up, big down, but the VIVIX is telling us that volatility is nervous. They don't know which way it's going to go, but they feel they know it's going to go big. Okay, so this week is not going to be a quiet week. I'm telling you guys, it's not. I had mentioned a few days ago, I know a lot of traders they are looking for the $66 here on the crude. We're gapping down today. And this is after Israel did some major bombing to Iran, to Syria, to Iraq. All of that happened over the weekend, and crude can't hold a bid. Man, I don't know what to tell you about that. We're on the bearish side of the trend. You see, that's our anchored VWAP from Thursday. So that clearly we're on the bearish. This thing's probably going to keep going down this week. So we're probably going to see that 66 before the week's out. Okay, guys, I'm going to start with my core tickers. That is one ugly candle on SMH. That could be a lower high topping candle. So when I see something like that, I want to go switch over to volume profile to see exactly what I'm looking at. So I go down to a 30-minute. That's the maximum you can have for daily volume market webs. 30-minute market webs. And what we're seeing here, you saw that rejection candle, but the volume profile, see, that's where price can deceive you versus volume profile. There's a lot of volume at the top of Friday, but we closed on the lows. So when you see something like that, you got to be very nervous about trying. So ideally, you want to see all the volume at the low. That's a continuation candle. That candle that we got Friday on SMH is probably not giving us a good signal to the downside. It's not a good topping reversal signal. So be very mindful of that. Just my quick and dirty look at SMH. Okay. That being said, we did close above. Because we closed above, this was resistance. So I changed the color to green. That's new support now because we closed above it. They may want to break us down just a little bit lower to backtest that support. And let's see if that actually becomes new support or not. So let's see what happens in Monday's session on that. But this is actually closing on the bullish side of trend for Friday, which should even do better tomorrow if we continue up with the ES futures. NQ futures are up. So that should actually turn out better tomorrow. Okay, Apple's into resistance. So basically what I did, once we got a closing print above the resistance, I turned this box to green. Once we got a closing print, well, actually we didn't get a closing print below. So we didn't even get a closing print below this box. So this actually should still be a green box. I'm sorry. You have to have a closing print below the green box for it to go red. So I can actually change that back to green. I'm sorry, I got it. Edit. Do that real quick here, guys, while you're listening. But you're looking for a closing daily print below. So this is still, they are still defending this support. So this is acting as support till it isn't. So let's keep an eye on it. As long as we hold basically the 230, basically 230, we don't want a closing print below 230. Once you get a closing print below that, then that's actually changing the rules of the game, in my opinion. Microsoft. So guys, we're in the bullish side of the anchored VWAP. Okay, on the bullish side here. So be very mindful of that. We did have a horrible day Friday, but we're gapping up here in the overnight. But this is a bullish pattern, so be very mindful here. And you notice when we did come back down into this anchored VWAP area, we didn't get one candle in this box. None of those candles closed outside it to turn it red. So that's something very important to note. So I called this out this past week, AMD as a long. I literally called it out right near the lows, AMD as a long. And, well, let me hear it. That's daily. I got to move this out a little bit. I didn't update my chart yet, but this actually goes over to here. Okay, but so we came down, we tagged the anchored VWAP from August. Literally tagged it. I was right there on it, telling people, hey, this is probably by the dip. So within a few 20 cents of the lows, I was sitting there saying, hey, we may have just put a major blow in here. We were right into the buy zone, and it's been on nice here. So we are into a resistance area. We are into the October anchor VWAP. So heads up on that. So basically, what I would want to see now is us to be gapping up and not turn red. So basically, if it turns red, then you basically a gap up on AMD is probably buyable as long as it doesn't go back red. Okay, that's kind of my main takeaway on that one, and for a breakout of resistance. So let's see what happens on that one. So we got the resistance right here at 155.90 area. 155.90 area is our resistance on AMD. NVIDIA. Very good pattern here. Okay. This is one of the, see how this thing it is such a strong stock pattern. Very strong stock pattern. We see this reversal candle. So what I want to do now is go over to real quick to my market webs real quick. Go back to the 30 minutes. And this was really fairly evenly distributed. So we have two solid distributions here for NVIDIA. So it's very evenly distributed. So it makes it very difficult on that one there. So uh, let's keep an eye on that. It's probably going to be gapping up in the morning. So we'll see if it can hold prices above 141.90. It's probably a long. So basically, 142. If we were to open at 142, that's probably a long. So let's keep an eye on that one if it can hold 142 or higher early on tomorrow morning. Tesla, I think it's going to 300. That's just the way it is. Go back on the daily on Tesla. So basically, if you draw out your anchored VWAP trend from August, that puts you right up in here into 300s. Uh, just a few days. Uh, going into the first part of November. This thing really looks strong here. I don't know if it's going to pull back first or not, but that's kind of where I'm thinking. We could very easily be at the 280, 250 call wall this week, in my opinion. Very, very easily be up there. We'll see what happens. But I would not want to fade that one because I do think we're definitely going up into the October. This is our October trend high. So we're probably definitely going to come up to here. That's 275. So I just really see zero reason not to go to 275. We're probably going to open there tomorrow, I'll be honest. So we'll see what happens. Okay. So Google's in a multi-month consolidation, and we are in a P formation. That's what we're looking for a monthly continuation. So that, you can see a little P with the leg right here, P pattern. That is a continuation pattern. This thing is building up pressure for a big move, and it looks like that move is probably going to be to the upside. So we'll see what happens with the markets. But ultimately this it looks like it's resolving to the upside, but you don't know. We're into resistance. This is October resistance. So, and we have earnings this week. So heads up on that. So it's one of the first earnings to come out. So we'll see how that plays out. Meta's been a beast. I called out the buy point here on Meta. I was calling it out right here on the 23rd. I was calling it out. Meta may have bottomed here, guys, and it's had a very good today pop here. I mean, you could have taken it all the way back up into the 580 call wall. You know, uh, you know, and that's another thing about the call walls I wanted to mention, Steph. Friday was actually one of the first uh, uh, expiration days in several weeks that the call walls failed pretty much across the board. So a lot of things that they've been pushing into the call wall, they've been getting exercise, large exercises in the call walls uh, because of the momentum, upside momentum in the markets. Well, Friday was a change of character because the market makers had more control and they were able to reject a lot of those call walls. So be mindful. So Wall Street got paid off of the options uh, uh, the trade end up closing worthless. Amazon's another one that's building up pressure, just not for sure which direction it's going to go. I do want to point out they did have a special Prime Day event this quarter, something they've never done before that I know of. So that might bolster their numbers by doing the first of its kind 2-day Prime Day event. Uh, and they did a lot of promotion and advertising for it. Palantir is a beast here, but I'd be careful with that one. The trends aren't really lining up with the earnings, so be very mindful of that. See, the earnings are there, uh, so be very. This trend is not currently lining up with that. So be very mindful. Going up to 50 before earnings doesn't seem. We know we're entering a resistance zone, but coming up into that trend line might be an area to be looking for a short-term short, not really a long for the earnings. Let's just definitely keep this on the watch because I don't really like. Who knows? They might just take a right up into $50 before the earnings even come out. So that's what I'm looking for to see. Maybe a bunch of buyers come in there, bring it up to 50 before the earnings to possibly look for a short on the earnings. So be mindful of that one. Other things quickly that I'm looking at here, guys. I'm telling you, the bonds showing a lot of weakness even in tonight. I have this week and the monthly expiration both at the same price point here at $48, the call wall. Typically, when I see the weekly and the monthly both the same, that's a massive uh, uh, brick wall for the markets to get through. That doesn't typically happen. So right here, right now, my bearish is downside for the financials this week, unless something changes with the bonds. So heads up on this. I am not bullish the financials. I would like to see the financials come all the way down to here, for possibly to a new re-entry to the long side. That puts us down to $45 to re-enter to the long side. Right here, right now, I do not think financials are smart to be playing to the long side. So we've had a few financials come out, and uh, we've come back down into the support area. This is the buy zone, not financials, the industrials, and so we are into the potential buy zone for industrials. But the data coming out from the industrials has been weak, so be very mindful of that. So we're fighting weak data, and we're into a prior monthly high area. So this thing could, and we technically closed in a negative gamma situation, which I'm sure that'll resolve early. Wait, ES is popping up and stuff. We're probably going to go back above that 136 tomorrow morning, but be very mindful. Here we are closing the week in a negative gamma, giving us a warning on the industrials. Materials, we haven't quite gotten to our buy zone yet, so be very mindful of that. Materials might have some downside move, so be very mindful of that. Even for our first main support. Healthcare is just getting pummeled, guys. Absolutely pummeled. Uh, so some takeaways I got. Our major put wall is way above us at 163. So heads up on that. So we got a bunch of puts sitting at 163 that are getting deep in the money now. Uh, and we're at 148. That's on the monthly. Okay. We're now at 148. Okay, guys. And we're right into that put wall to start the session going into tomorrow. So be very mindful of this. This thing is I'd be careful trying to push it too far here. This here is also a potential buy zone using market webs. So be very mindful of that. 70% of the volumes inside the gray area for this month right here, or for this month right here. I'm sorry. 70% of the volume is right here. So, you're getting awful close to that potential by the dip zone. You got, this, I wouldn't really want to take the short side on this. I would be looking for healthcare to the long side more than the short side. So, utilities, looks like we broke a major trend support. Okay, guys, but, we'll look down here in the 30 minutes, see how the profile looked. Yeah, this is a continuation pattern. There you go. This looks like a continuation pattern. That there. So this is a baby B pattern. This is what you're looking for a bearish pattern. That's it right there, guys. Wow. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Another one real quick. I went back to financials. See, I was talking about how bearish it was looking to me. This is another one. This is a bearish continuation pattern, technically, but you are in a buy zone. So keep that in the back of your mind. You're in a potential buy zone. They're doing accumulation at the buy zone. Okay, so be very mindful of that. Hey guys, one last thing I'm looking at here. We have a touch right here. See this trend line, purple trend line right here? Uh, we touched that on the diamonds. Okay, we closed below a critical support area. So be mindful of that. That should gap up into that support tomorrow. But the diamonds are giving us a warning that it might be the first area to break trend. So definitely keep that on the back of your mind in your trading. And if you want to look closer on the 30 minutes, see this is a P formation as well at the lows. So that could be, we know that's a trend low. That kind of makes sense. Volume would come in down there. If you're a buy the dipper, you want to be buying. Plus, if you're somebody, hey, we're that close to that trend line. I don't want to come in Monday morning and the world's on fire. So you had volume on both sides there, pushing that volume right there at those trend lows, going into the weekend. So unless something changed by tomorrow morning, this stuff should bounce. But we don't know for sure. Okay, this is the longest video I've done so far. I'm sorry. So bottom line is, I'm kind of thinking that we might have some back and fill to the upside, but I see a lot of areas of the market that are giving me concern. For example, was the financials for one. Financials are really giving me a lot of concern, and XLV, uh, XLV was giving me concern. XLI was giving me concern. Those are the areas that are really giving me a lot of concern. How about XLC? I can't remember about that. No, see, it's not really giving anything on that. And this is another thing that I'll be watching tomorrow. This is the highest point, volume point from Friday, that blue line right there. A lot of times that back tests that for a continuation to the downside. So that's your volume point of control. Okay. So let's definitely keep that on watch. We're still on the bearish side of Friday's volume point of control. So be very mindful of that. And ES's, we're on the bullish side of Friday's volume point of control. So, but ES's are looking a lot better. How about Russell? Russell's on the bullish side. Okay. YM. And the diamonds are on the bullish side. Heads up on that. So, pretty much, everything but the the NASDAQ at 821 tonight is looking on the bullish side of Friday's inventory. So be very mindful of that.